Welcome to day 7, our final day of our 7-day interspecies communication practice challenge. It's a world challenge. We've stopped in 7 different continents, all of them on Earth, all of the ones that are on Earth. And the whole series has been about exploring different ways to deepen our relationship with species and our Earth and our planet. And you can go back and rewatch any of the previous episodes and you'll see all the different aspects that we've covered, and it's been really fascinating and enlightening. And today's stop is in Europe. We are speaking with 2 awesome communicators who specialize in speaking with Mother Earth. And so today's episode is about communicating with Mother Earth. My name is Josh Cohen, and I run Speak Good Human, the free animal communication practice site. And this is just one of the things that I do at least a couple times a year. I run a practice challenge, and this particular challenge is not one of the regular ones. It's a special 7-day challenge in honor and in celebration of World Interspecies Communication Month, which is a brand new celebratory month that we have launched this year. It happens every October now, and it celebrates our communication with all other species. And we are uniting this field, and we are trying to reach the general public and trying to make animal communication and interspecies communication a language as common as any other, so that when you mention it to somebody, they won't say, "What? Are you okay? Are you crazy? Are you a witch?" What? We want them to say, "Oh yeah, interspecies communication. That's so cool. I want to learn that too." So without further ado, I would like to introduce our awesome guest today. We have Nicola Poole. She's an interspecies communicator in Ireland currently. She's living there. And she embraces all opportunities to communicate with species all over the earth. And she's a Reiki master, a massage therapist, and she helps us and our animal friends lead fuller lives and with a deeper understanding, and really pulls in all the things that we are trying to do today in her work. And that's why I'm really excited that she's here with us today. And then she's got her awesome best friend, Catherine Louise Birmingham. She's an internationally recognized equestrian rider, trainer, and coach. She's highly attuned and intuitive, and she is an accomplished spiritual teacher, author, and healer. And she and her family run a nature healing retreat in the Italian countryside. So that's where she is currently. And both of these 2 this is where I found them. They have a YouTube program. And I'll put on the screen in a little while how you can find them. But the YouTube program is all about fundamental teachings of Mother Earth. And they both channel all sorts of elements from Earth. And it's really fascinating, and that's what led me to them. And that's why they're here today, to teach us a little more about this and how we can connect with and communicate with Mother Earth and all of its elements. So welcome today, Catherine Louise Birmingham. Hello, Catherine.
Hello, Josh.
And welcome, Nicola Poole.
Hi, Josh. Hi, Catherine.
Hello. It's so awesome to have you guys here. I've been really looking forward to this talk because, we live on Earth. So as opposed to, let's say, talking with a leopard or a tiger, both of whom we may never see in this lifetime, unless you live in an area where those are and you see them in the wild, or you go to a zoo or whatever. Earth, we live on Earth. We are in constant contact with Earth and the planet and the elements. And many of us are just simply not connected in that way, in the way that you guys are becoming connected to the earth. And what a treasured moment to be able to communicate and connect with the planet, which is a living being. And you guys do that on a regular basis.
Well, it was a big thing for us too. Like I must admit, even when we started channeling the elements, for me, mine was I never used to like the wind. I love the wind now. I love the wind because I understand her. I know what her purpose is. So for us as well, Josh, that was something that opening up and communicating with her and each element separately and really letting it speak its message. We've got a whole new relationship with Mother Earth as well. So it's just expanding on what I know we already had, but it's definitely been a huge change for us as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just going back to what you were saying as well about the connection, we do all have that connection. It's the same with animal communication, interspecies communication. We've constantly got that connection with Mother Earth, but it's our awareness of it. And that's what she's trying to show us, to be more aware that we have it and we can stick with it. She'll wait for us when she's calling us, just like if we need to be with her, you know, we just need to wait for her, and that connection's there. It just takes a while for our awareness to come back that we have it. That's what it is. So it's always there.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure every other element on Earth, you know, animals, any species, does connect in a deeper way than most humans do. Is Mother Earth actually wanting us to connect in a different way or a deeper way?
She's just for her insights and knowledge and for us to understand her more. We have an idea that we know what she wants, but without being able to ask her, to connect in with her and ask her what she actually wants, we're just doing to her what we think we would need. And that's where I think she's trying to get that deeper understanding, that deeper connection with us, so we can help her, not control her or save her, all those things that we think we're doing. She's, like I said, she's her own living being. And like anyone else, she's got free choice, she's got free will, just like I would not try and control you and Catherine in a million years, you know. Yeah. We need to respect that with Mother Earth as well.
Yeah, I mean, I always think about how human-centric we are. We think that we're the center of it all and that everything revolves around us. And I'm sure that's just not the case. It's just our mindset. But it's probably not also the case that Mother Earth is the center of it all, even though she's sort of the canvas for all of our life here.
It's been shown to me differently, and I know it's come up for Nicola and I both in the first episode we did on Earth and I. So where are we at in relation to Mother Earth? And basically humanity is going through the abscess has exploded of its ego self, and the ego self within us, and Nicola saw it as the ego boom. It was fantastic how we both kept getting the same messages.
Yeah.
But it's this ego self that's in humanity that is necessary for humanity's consciousness and its growth is causing this separateness. It's bringing about this, that we're above Mother Earth. But it was something really beautiful that you have to remember when you understand, you know, that we're all one and we're all together, and that whole enlightenment and that everything is one. It's all tiny little aspects and facets of the one being. So we all are separate and different, like the forest, like the trees. But in the end, we're all working towards the same whole. So no, even from Mother Earth it's not about all Mother Earth. It's not about all the insects. It's not about all the grains of sand. It's not about all the humanity. We each have purpose, and we each have a fulfillment within the complexity of the all, the painting of the all. But something is really beautiful, because that first thing that you brought up, that you asked about, is Earth one being or many?
Yeah.
This relates to exactly that. I got from this that basically she said that we are a multifaceted being making up the one. And she showed me just this gorgeous, beautiful, this expands across the universe like a collage of souls forming the one picture. Earth is one of many. So, you know, when you see those lovely sometimes they do those pixelated pictures of people, but they're little pictures of different people making
Right.
up, then you could go back and it's one person.
Yeah.
It's the same with Mother Earth. It's the same with all the souls that within Mother Earth are making up Mother Earth. So she is basically not separate from us. We make up Mother Earth. We're all the small pixelated souls, humans, animals, everything, to make up that. But then she was showing it on an even larger scale, that even Mother Earth and the planets and the stars and everything is making up the collage of the pixelated universe, and multiple universes and more universes. Comes back to, remember, Nicola, what we were seeing when we were talking about how they were showing me that our personality self, our soul self, and our higher self makes up the one Russian doll. And then outside of that Russian doll is another kind of spiritual self. And then there's another spiritual self. So it's very hard for our human mind to grasp and understand the vastness and the complexity of it in layers, levels, everything. It's so much more than 3D. So much more. So we can't comprehend it. We can't understand it. But Mother Earth there's no being on this planet, and a microplastic to a lion or a tiger all has equal soul recognition and purpose, or not, Nicola?
Yeah, all as important as each other. And it's funny what you just saying about what she said to you about I'm one but I'm many, and she's replied exactly the same to me. Funny enough, Catherine.
And then when we do the videos, we just tell each other what we've channeled. We never what's that word, Nicola? We never converse beforehand.
Oh, yeah.
So Nicola, please go.
Just get it as we go, yeah. But that was the same that she said to me, though, that I'm one but I'm many. I'm formed from all the energies we meet, but I'm still my own identity, which is exactly the same as us. If you think, we meet people and we absorb some of their energies, they absorb some of ours, but we're still our own individual beings. And she's just the same. She said, what makes me is you, and what makes you is me. So, and there was just one thing that she's been, the last couple of days, this keeps coming through so strong. So I think maybe there's a lot of people that misunderstand, but there's a big difference between we are all one and we are all the same. There seems to be, when people hear we are all one, it's like a fear comes up in them that they're losing their own identity, their own purpose, who they are. And she's saying there's a very big difference between that. So once we start understanding that, we can start embracing the concept that we're all one, rather than thinking that you have to become someone else. You can still be your own person, but you're a part of the whole.
Yeah.
Yes, that's.
And I guess the important thing about realizing that we're all one, we're all part of the whole, is that to me, if you are not treating that whole respectfully or with kindness or whatever, it hurts you as well. It doesn't just hurt whoever you're directing it to. So it would benefit us to be a little more aware about this concept, so that we can realize it's all about us. I mean, if you're going to trash your own house, it's going to affect everybody in it as well as you. So it's
and vice versa as well.
That's what the elements. Sorry, Nicola, go.
No, that's okay. Go.
That's what the elements have been doing for Nicola and I, and every element that we've been speaking to, they've been specifically associating who they are with an aspect of us. Like the oceans are our emotion, the soil is our skin. So it makes you stop and look at things more personally, to look at things more that it's with equality. That whole we're all one is what you were saying, is understanding the respect. And if we understood that we're all working for a common goal and common thing, that we're all connected, is that respect of that everything's equal, everything has importance, whether you're a toilet cleaner or you're the king, everybody has equal importance. Because it comes back to energy, not labels. Labeling who we are and what we do is our ego self. So when it comes back to when you strip those labels away, whether it's a tree, whether it's a rock, or whether it's a human being, and you associate the commonality between the two, you know, your skin or your emotions, or, you know, the wind is because the wind, you have to watch the wind. I love the wind. It's our secret powers.
Okay.
Secret powers.
Cleanses everything.
Cleanses everything. It's pushing everything out the way, changing things up.
Yeah, I'm interested in that too, because I've never been a fan of the wind either, because it's like, get out of my face already. It's
She's helping you, Josh. She's helping you. She's moving crap out of your way. She's getting rid of it for you.
Uh-huh.
Or she'll just let it sit long enough that you need it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're saying then that Mother Earth is its own being, separate from all the elements, separate from all the species, separate from everything else that's on or made up of Earth. So
I saw it as made up of.
Yeah, that's what was it she showed me earlier on? It was like the fact that she's called Mother Earth is so appropriate because of her energy. She's very nurturing, mothering. She's got compassion for all. And that's what she was showing me. You know, when you're saying it's separate, but she's saying, just imagine how it is if there's someone very close to you that you love dearly, and they get hurt. You feel it as well. So
Right.
That's the kind of connection she was showing me with everyone, everything, every being, every aspect of this planet is making up. It's all part of her. We're all part of her. But it's just, again, that she has her own individual identity. Don't know if that's quite explaining it, but she was saying, so even like, say, Catherine, now, if she was hurting, I would be feeling it, but I'm not her. Does
Right.
that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's the same as our bodies. So you would be saying that each cell has its own kind of identity, but it's making up the whole of our body.
Mm.
Okay.
So she's showing us in the same way that she needs us just as much as we need her. We make her, and it's exactly the same as us. However, our hair changes color or length. However, one of our dogs, Mr. Fluffy, since he was born, he's got fleas. And every time I try to tell him we've got to get rid of the fleas, he always tells me, no, they're my friends. They're my friends. They're my friends.
Uh-huh.
You know, and we always associate that humanity's like a plague of fleas on the planet, and she's just going to shake us off. But it's not. You know, she's trying to explain that it's like the forest, the houses, and everything, the clothes that she's wearing. It's part of the one. I am me, but I have, you know, different cells of my hair, of my clothes, of the things that are on me that I'm using that make up me. But it's part of me. It's very difficult to explain, isn't it, Nicola?
Yeah, I don't know if it would help. It's a similar thing that she showed me a while back when we were doing the series, the fundamental teachings, and she's showing that the rocks that are her is like our skeletal system, our lungs, you know, like we're using to process the oxygen. The trees are her lungs. The roots of those trees are like the veins and arteries within our system. The internal waterways, you know, she's got river systems running within her. That's our circulatory system. So she's trying to, like Catherine said earlier, personalize it for us to understand more how, although she is one, we're all part of the same energy, the same makeup and existence. We're all existing on the same.
Can I put it this way? As much as many of us, I wouldn't say many, but sometimes I think this way. As much as many of us would wish that humanity just was off Mother Earth, she just would do so much better without human beings on her. She wouldn't be the same without us. She wouldn't be experiencing her experiences without humanity on her. Mm-hmm. She wouldn't have her own soul growth of her illnesses, sicknesses, injuries without humanity on her doing it to her, like Mr. Fluffy with his fleas. So it's part of her soul evolution. It's part of her soul experience and her soul growth is to have humanity on her. And however humanity's consciousness is growing and changing and evolving as well, is in alignment and working with hers. So we're necessary. We're a necessary part of her, and she's a necessary part of our growth.
Yeah.
And does she appreciate it? Like when you guys connect with her directly, you have a relationship with her in a almost personal way. Is that something that she's looking for?
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, that the more we're aware of her and her being a being, we're going to all build up that relationship. At the moment, it's like anyone. If you don't know someone well enough, you don't have that relationship. You don't understand them. You don't understand their needs, their wants.
Yeah.
And so if we can all form that relationship with her through connecting with her, she'll be able to show us what she needs, and that relationship will get stronger and deeper. And that's what interspecies communication is all about, is asking someone else what they need, what they want.
Can I add something on that one, Nicola?
Yes, you can.
Okay. It's part of her own awakening is her becoming conscious of herself, and part of who she is humanity. So that as each human being is awakening and becoming more aware of our connection with animals, planet Earth, whatever, and we start to connect with that, talk to that, it's her awakening to herself. But remember, as I was saying at the beginning, these are just layers, because planet Earth might be becoming awake and aware of herself, but something else, the universe, galaxy, is becoming aware of itself through Mother Earth. Do you understand? It's all these Russian dolls, all these different things becoming aware of it. So to say, I'm going to say it's slightly different. To say that she is appreciating that we are waking up and talking to her, it's actually her waking up and talking to herself and doing it through us. She's becoming conscious of herself through our disconnection, through humanity's disconnection.
Okay.
The other thing that Nicola picked up on, and I've just completely lost it, so forget about that one.
It'll come back.
Sorry, Nicola, darling. I wanted to go back to it, but it just went like the wind. So, there you go.
Well, I would say that it's the other way around as well. As we explore getting to know Mother Earth, and we're learning more about ourselves as well.
Exactly. But that's all that awakening.
Yeah.
And as we become more awake of ourselves, like you were saying at the beginning about how, it would be wonderful that we all realize that we are able to communicate, we are able to talk with these things, is the same as that amazing book, that wonderful book Rupert Sheldrake wrote, Dogs Who Know Their Owners Are Coming Home. He speaks about in that first chapter how that explorer years ago went to go and stay with the African villages, and he said they were already communicating. The hunters would be already communicating back to the women whether they had caught something. When they got back to the camp, the women either had a fire started or not to cook whatever they had gotten. And I always say it as, this is why when the GPSs first came out, I loved maps. I always used to go on a map. I hated using the GPS because the GPS only gave me a very narrow little picture. And my inner GPS system, I always had a really good inner GPS. And if I saw a map, bam, I was onto it. And the GPS system used to start messing with that because I was cutting off my own intuition. Cutting off my own intuition to narrow it down to the small little view of what the GPS was going to tell me. And it's the same as what we've done as humanity. As we've become more enclosed to the ego self, we've cut off our map. But it's still there.
Yeah.
You just have to stop using the GPS.
Okay. That sounds good. One thing I was always been curious about, I know people, when they talk with a species, they'll say like, rabbit says this, rabbit as in the rabbit species, they're all speaking as one and giving this message. And that's the same way with Earth or the wind or the ocean. Is that true? Can you can speak to a river, a specific river, or you can speak to river in general. How does that differ?
The way I understand it, I've never thought of it like that before. That's a great question. Just my experience now is that humanity has a consciousness. So different species would have a consciousness. But we also you can go down and talk to an individual one-on-one because that person has a consciousness. So that's how I'd understand it, that you're tapping into the consciousness, the energy of that species, of Mother Earth, of all the trees, as we do. You know, you talk to the wind, to the trees, or like that lady, I think it was Jane, that chats with Henrietta. Was it Jane?
Yeah.
So she can go and talk to one tree, or you can talk to the whole consciousness of that species. That's how I'd understand it. I'm not sure if Catherine feels the same when she does it.
Yeah, absolutely the same. And I think it's basically when you are talking with the entire consciousness, you're getting like an overview, the bigger picture. Whereas when you then go down into individuals, then you're getting more details, more specifics. But there is definitely the larger consciousness, and then the aspects, the smaller consciousness of that larger consciousness. But it's the same thing. You're just getting one's more detailed, and one is more a bigger picture.
I guess one's like the wisdom of that species, and the other one is a more personal outlook, like GPS to a map.
Yep,
Yet they can all access everything. I mean, the individual river can access the consciousness of all rivers, and the other way around. So interesting. So, and when you do your channeling, you speak with the collective consciousness. Is that correct, or do you do individual?
For me, it depends on what's needed at the time.
Okay. And are you specifically asking to connect with something, or you just say, I would like to connect, and whoever shows up is who you're speaking to?
Again, it depends on the time. So for the fundamental teaching series, we had specific elements that we wanted to just ask wisdom from, insight. So you do your intent to that specific, like the trees, the forests, 1 week, and then another. So it's the intent. You just connect in with the energy of that consciousness, I guess.
Mine's different. I usually write. That's my channel. I'm a writer. So I literally would just open up a book somewhere and just write. What do you want to tell me? The wind or the soil or something, or any question at the moment. You know, we've got questions about other things, and I would just write it, and then bang, it will just flow. And whether I'm talking with my spirit guides, which is what I mainly do, or whether I'm specifically talking with an element or a certain animal or something, me is through writing, or I'll just ask the question in my head, and then I hear the messages come through. But I usually prefer writing, because then I remember what's been said. So I can go back and look at it.
You're trying to get all the notes.
Exactly.
Well, what I love about what you guys are doing is you're enlightening the world about what's possible, what our planet and all of its elements are mean to us, and our relationship, and how it all works together. You're not specifically asking for personal wisdom, like a spirit guide or something like that. You're kind of asking for their story rather than something selfishly personal, like, can you help me do this or that? Is that true?
I've never needed to, but sometimes, yes, actually, no, there was one time, because I don't enjoy the area we're living in. We're just seeing it. We live in a very old area in Abruzzo, Italy, which used to be very organic. It used to be very, raw, and now it's getting all these huge tractors. The new tractors that are now today, they're like big GAT machines that they use for mining. They're massive. And they come in and they tear up the land, and there's pesticides and stuff all happening. And I've asked Mother Earth, look, if you want to kick us all off, go for it. But can you just help me and my family find a little home somewhere in the forest?
Okay.
And no, I mean, I would never take it personally, but she did. One time she said, no, she said, you need to move somewhere warmer. Somewhere colder. Sorry, she said, you need to move somewhere colder, because that was the other thing that was bothering me, that with the global warming. I don't like the heat. And she said, you need to move somewhere colder. So that was definitely, she's giving advice. She's giving guidance.
Okay.
You wouldn't, if you saw your hand was hurting, wouldn't you want to look after it and heal it and help it heal? We're a part of her. So of course she wants to help us. Of course she's going to assist us. All we have to do is ask.
Okay. Yeah,
and we're still benefiting individually from what the guidance she's got for all of us. We're still on a personal level. I'm still going to benefit because I can share that and we can create a better world. So therefore I am gaining. So it's that whole thing, you know, if we help each other, we're helping ourselves at the same time.
Yeah. I guess it's just that it's such a giant concept to think of communicating with Mother Earth, and why would she care about the smallest little thing in our lives, and why would we even bother her with asking for advice? You might ask your dog or your bird or whatever, but
no, asking the dog. I know what she wants. So
well, I mean, sometimes they'll share.
Joking. No, it's absolutely, why wouldn't she want to help us? If you have a splinter in your finger, it doesn't matter how tiny it is, that's going to cause the whole pain. And she will want to heal that splinter, take that splinter out. So if there is somebody, you know, that is up, there was a beautiful documentary I watched not long ago with a shaman in Peru, and he was doing his shamanic healing, and he basically was telling everybody, he was communicating with Mother Earth, and he basically said to everybody, there is huge things coming. There's a lot of you know, Mother Earth's really going to be making a lot of changes and shifts. He said, but those that are helping look after her, she will be protecting and looking after them. So it's a two-way system, you know. It's the same as us. If we get riddled with cancer or something and we're trying to fight that cancer, or we're trying to, instead of focusing on killing those cancer cells, we focus on healing, and we focus on bringing in light, we focus on bringing in regeneration, and those cancer cells will get pushed out and moved out and die off because they're not getting that attention. So the cells of Mother Earth that are assisting in her healing, assisting in her growth, assisting in her changes, she's going to be supporting them. And that's not an ego perspective. That is just basically growth. That is healing. That is growth. And those cancer cells had purpose. They had purpose for awakening. And she needed that, and she's using that. And when there's no longer needed anymore, they will die off in hundreds of years to come.
And that comes through from so many animals, plants, trees, Mother Earth herself, that the only way that we're actually going to be able to help each other is by supporting and loving each other, not trying to fight. If something's not sitting right with us, we don't try and fight it. We understand it and support it, either create an alternative or just work with what we've got and support it in love, rather than fight against it. Because if we fight against anything, you're just separating us further and further away, instead of bringing us together, work through it together in that way. And that's what she does. And that's what I think every species, every being has shown us through our conversations.
Yeah, that's what everybody else knows except for us. Yeah.
Well, we know. We just have a different mindset. We need to go back to that and remember that, and retrain our thinking, I think.
Okay, so for those of us who are learning animal communication or already doing it and haven't yet done anything like connecting with Mother Earth or the elements, is it a different process? Is it feel different? How can we take that step in that direction and start doing that?
Go, Nicola, I'll let you start with that one.
I can only talk from my personal practice, but it's the same. You're connecting the same. All you're doing is, because we're all connecting on others' energetic levels, so rather than connecting in with Mr. Fluffy's energy into his energy field, we're connected into Mother Earth's energy field. So because it's all energy work, so you're just choosing who you chat to. It's like, I'll talk to you one moment, I'll talk to Catherine the next moment. So it's the same technique for me. People may have different practices getting to that technique, but me personally, it's the same.
Okay.
I don't know, Catherine?
No, I was just about to say it's exactly the same for me. But there was one piece of guidance that she did want to pass on when I asked her this. She said, when I asked, is it like talking to animals? And she said, yes, unequivocally, yes. Exactly the same as the animals. Your guides, your car, or another planet or solar system. All the messages will come through the same door you have already opened. So this grows, changes, and expands as you do. So basically, it's the same. Like I said, I will write down. That's how I speak with my guides. If I'm doing an energy reading for somebody, I will just ask a question in my head and get that message. But she also then suggested that use like a translator or a messenger. So if you don't feel your belief system is open enough yet that you can speak with Mother Earth, she said go through something else. So like ask about Mother Earth through your spirit guides or through your dog or through the trees. So use a translator until you understand the language yourself. So, but in the end, it's the same. For me, it was exactly the same. The same messages I heard through my spirit guides, dogs, people, whatever, Mother Earth and her elements was coming through exactly the same way.
Okay. Did I hear you say car as well in there?
Oh, yeah, I talk to my car all the time.
So tell me, I mean, I've heard of that, but tell me, because there's a perception that you can talk to a sentient being, which is a being that can feel and maybe reason. But,
Nicola, do you remember our walk in Bali? Do you remember she came to visit me one time, we were in Bali, and we were walking along having our brainwaves conversation as we always did. And she was going, I just, that the animals, we were talking about being vegan, being vegetarian. And at that time I was vegetarian, but slowly, moving over from that. I was getting opened up to different things. But I remember Nicola saying about, the animals, they have a soul, they have feelings. I said, Nicola, the plants, they have a soul, they have feelings too, they have emotions. And Nicola turns to me, she goes, oh my God, I said, what am I going to eat? So it was quite, we keep creating this separation between elements, between beings, and it's necessary in order for us to slowly open up our compassion and our empathy. It slowly opens one little door to animals, and then we slowly open that next little door. But in the end, everything is alive. The entire universe is conscious. From a rock, from a piece of plastic to your car, everything has a consciousness. I mean, I know, speaking with my car, Rosie, the old one that we had, she used to, her last drive, she had to drive out and take my partner and our daughter up in the mountains, and she was just this little Fiat 500. She was really struggling, and she said, don't worry, I'll get them there and back. And she did. She got them there and back, and that was her last drive until we moved her on to someone else. Mm-hmm. She couldn't hold our whole family in there anymore, and she kept telling me, I'm feeling tired, I'm feeling old. But I didn't want her to go to the scrapyard. Uh-huh. So eventually she went to another person that was going to do her up, redo her, and give her new life. But she was ready to give in. She was ready to say, okay, just take me to the scrapyard. I'm done. I said, no, you're not. You're going somewhere else. So it is, everything is alive because consciousness is alive. Consciousness is awake. And we're all just different forms of that consciousness experiencing itself.
How... I love the. I mean, I'm really open to this, and I love this whole concept. When you meet people who aren't at the point of being aware of this, and maybe are not open to it, how do you describe it? How would you ever tell them?
I never would. Josh, Nicola, and I, unless somebody is asking us, you're asking us, so we're open to share. That's why we decided to do the fundamental teachings of Mother Earth as a free thing. For those that are ready to expand that awareness, to expand those belief patterns, they can go somewhere and feed a little bit off that information, even if they don't watch a little bit and then go back to it. I mean, I speak with my the town I live in, they're so spiritually unaware, it's ridiculous. Uh-huh. I just don't open that conversation with them.
Okay.
But it's projects like this now, though, as well. What you were saying at the beginning in your intro about making it more normal. I remember when I first started Animal Communication, people say, what you do? I used to just say, therapy, or, I wouldn't specifically say Animal Communication because you'd get, really, or, but that's a lack of understanding, lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
Now I just say it, and it's amazing the amount of people that are curious. But again, that was my own judgment on myself, expecting people to react that way.
Yeah.
Now that I'm confident and happy to say and open to people questioning it, because we have to remember this as well. And again, so many animals have come back that we have to remember we're all at different stages of where we are in our understanding. So if someone does come back with a reaction, a remark, a question, it's because they're not at the same stage as me, and I'm not at the same stage as someone else. Mm-hmm. So if we're willing to offer the knowledge and help people understand, then that's not normal attitude is going to diminish, and people are going to start opening up to it and getting into it themselves as well. And this is what this is all about, which I love doing it.
Just normalizing it more and more. And I think it probably, if we all had the courage to just say what we're doing and what, all the stuff that we're into, they still might look at us like we're crazy, but at least they'll have heard of it now, and then maybe they'll hear somebody else say it, and then somebody else. And in this world, we tend to go with a crowd mentality, which is when enough people are doing one thing, then more people get on board with it because they think, oh, okay, they're doing it, I guess I'll be open to it now and do it too. So, this is, for anybody who's watching, we're talking with Catherine, Louise, Birmingham, and Nicola Poole. And specifically, we've just been talking about they have a YouTube series that is fascinating, and I recommend going to check it out. Just go to YouTube and search Healing with Us, and you'll find they have a series. They've just finished their first season of channeling and talking with elements of Mother Earth and Mother Earth herself, and it's called Fundamental Teachings of Mother Earth. And they just take each episode and take an aspect of Earth and channel the messages through for us. And it's really fascinating, the information that they bring through. And you guys are working on your second season now, I hear. So that should be over the next few months. There should be another one coming, but there's enough for you to look at right now and listen to really enjoy it. So check this one out. So let's say that we wanted to explore more of this on our own with communicating with elements or Mother Earth or anything like that. What would you feel are some good steps to take?
When I did ask Mother Earth this one, because we've all got our own different techniques of how we do it, she was showing the easiest and probably the most simplest way to do it is to just sit and do nothing. It sounds very easy to do, but it can be quite difficult to still our minds. But she's saying we don't even need to do that. Just don't focus on anything. So you'll have the awareness of thoughts coming and going, sounds around you and things like that, but just don't focus on them and just sit and do nothing. And as she shared earlier, that she'll get the intent that you're wanting to connect with her. So just be patient while you bring your awareness to that connection. Mm-hmm. It is there. And then she will come and you will actually feel her. She showed it like things will start focusing. It's almost like everything will be blurry or there'll be nothing there. And then as your awareness to that connection comes through, just sitting, doing nothing, you'll get little elements that will come through. It might be a bug, it might be feeling her yourself. But just become aware of that. She said that what wants to connect with you, who wants to connect with you, will connect with you. So that was
you could either have an intention of, let's say, I want to connect with the wind, or you could just, like you said, just be open to whoever comes through.
Yeah.
And it may not be a voice. I mean, when you hear these things, is it a feeling, or is it a voice, or is it what
I think everyone differs, because you're getting the energy, the vibrations through into your system. It comes through your own energy fields. Then whichever the strongest sense, that you might be a very visual person. Catherine does writing, so it depends what your strongest sense is. That'll be the one that you'll probably start connecting with first, or getting them through. Over time, the more you practice, you'll be getting them all. They'll all kind of all join up. But the mistake people I find in the workshops that I do, they compare themselves to someone else. So if someone's saying, oh, I didn't hear anything, they could have been seeing movies and movies and movies of information, but they'll put that to one side because they didn't hear something. So stick with your strongest sense first as you're getting into the technique and the practice, and everything else will then start to develop around that. It's like a lot of people go into animal communication and then the interspecies communication develops around that. And it's a similar thing. So don't compare yourself to anyone else doing anything. Just stick with your strongest. Otherwise, you're going to start losing that one as well, because you'll be focusing on something you're not strong at just yet.
Okay. That sounds, that does sound like it's exactly what we need to know. Is it's all within us. It's whatever our strength is, and we already know what that is. We just have to kind of get in touch with that and be more aware of what our own strength is.
Yeah.
I mean, how did you guys discover that on your own, on your individual strengths? Was it a conscious thing where you actually tried to figure out what you were strongest at, or you just realized I'm good at writing and that's how it comes through easily for me, or I'm good at whatever?
Well, for me, Josh, it actually evolved over time. I used to hear, see, and feel things when I was a kid. And I closed that off when I was working professionally with horses specifically in Germany. It was very hard over there. But then it started opening up again when I was coaching people. I would get just rolls of information and be speaking to them, and then look up and realize they got tears pouring down their eyes. And the things that I was coaching and speaking about necessary horses, and their dressage riding was directly related to something in their life, personal life, that they needed healing. And I sometimes would just walk in, put my hand on a horse to be speaking to the rider and say, how are you today? And I just get this download of information of what the horse was like, what it was needing, what it needed to do. And then, Nicola helped me realize and understand that was the horse actually communicating with that at that time. And I understood then, the downloads I was getting from the people was from their spirit guides and things. So for me, it was something that was always been there. I just learned to accept and open up to. Then energy readings with people. At first, I would put my hands out on someone and just get one word, or one sentence. She has the sun. Or I'd ask the guides, is there anything this person needs to hear? And they would just say, listen. So I'd sit there and just listen. And that's exactly what Mother Earth is saying to Nicola about, we have to practice just listening. And my first energy readings was exactly the same. I would just have to sit there and listen. There'd be silence for the longest time. Then I'd hear one thing. Now I see, hear, and feel visions, movies. I'm not even just watching a movie. I'm in their life. But it's learning first to be present and take the phone, put the phone off the hook, put the phone back on the hook so that information can come through, because our minds are always so busy. I'm sorry, I know we don't have much time, but it was funny because when you asked what practice exercise, Mother Earth told me, and I got immediately straight away to just share something I share with everybody. It's exactly the same what Nicola got.
Okay.
Deepak Chopra shared a long time ago. I remember driving my car, listening to one of his CDs. To just simple meditation is to sit there, close your eyes, and watch your thoughts. Just watch your thoughts like clouds in the sky. Just watch them going across. They'll come into your head, you watch them go. And any thought that you kind of start focusing on and thinking about, once you recognize that you're doing that, just let it go across again like a cloud. And you just sit there and just keep letting the thoughts watch them go by. And after you've been doing this for a little while, just ask yourself, who is watching the thoughts? And in time, you'll have many different experiences with that. But that's exactly the same as what Nicola is saying about just sit and listen. Just first be aware of the thoughts. Just watch your thoughts and then become the observer. Be the observer. Get connected with the observer.
Okay.
You'll find that you are Mother Earth.
I'll just pick up as well on Catherine, something you just said as well about the listening. It's we're very good at sending what we want, like you were saying, you can put your intent out there. But then we kind of get a bit panicky and fearful when we think we're not hearing anything or we're not getting anything back. So we put it out there again. And then we keep doing it. So it's almost like shouting at someone who speaks a different language, thinking the louder you shout, the more they're going to understand you.
Right.
You need to just sit back and be still for a moment, be quiet, and then see if you get anything back. So
Okay.
rather than keep externalizing and keep sending the message again and again and again, just sit back patiently and be quiet. It's the two-way flow. That's the whole communication process.
Okay.
Sending and receiving, and anything. It might even feel like you thought the answer, but that's probably your first experience of getting something back. And validation, I've seen many of the other communicators saying the same thing. When you're first beginning, people think validation is a very ego-based thing. You know, I was right. It's not. It's a very, very good gauge for you when you're first learning, that you start to understand that, oh, okay, I felt that way when I got that back, or I felt that way and I didn't get anything. So it's a very good learning process to connecting with something you can validate. Back. It's not an ego-based thing that.
Yeah, that's how I've always thought it, because you're convincing yourself to let go and realize that it's real, and the validation helps you get rid of those blocks and those layers that are preventing you from really, really connecting. Other, because Catherine, I know you said it was a process for you. It might have started with one word and then it flows. Back then, it was, you had blocks up. It's not necessarily a bad thing that you had these layers that you just had to realize through. You had to sort of realize it doesn't need to be that way, or that you're aware of certain things now.
You know what it was for me? Sorry, I keep hitting the stool. The thing is at the beginning, all of these, the channeling and everything came so easy, because it would happen when I would be coaching people. It was flowing. The guides wanted to teach me and give me the experience, the black and white experience, that what I was hearing was actually them. That's why they wanted me to always stop and listen and be in complete silence, mental silence, to make sure. And remember, I had already done years of very, very long, deep meditation, nearly became a monk. So I was prepped for this. Okay. So that listening and just hearing one little thing was training to have that belief that you both are talking about, of trusting what's coming through, not judging it, not filtering it, not analyzing it, and recognizing and seeing that it really is something there. It really is, you're not just consciously creating it. It's source passing through, it's source coming through in its own way. So that for me was what it was. The blocks were years before that. The blocks were the years before that I switched everything off, because But even though that there are blocks, they're necessary for helping people then understand, okay, why do I have the blocks? Changing the beliefs, that growth, that new experience. So understanding those blocks is part of our growth, is part of our evolution. So respect them. If you're recognizing that there is a disbelief here or a block here, the stop, the listen, the feel is all part of the growth. It's all part of the change.
Yeah. And I always think, if we're stuck in a certain spot, maybe that's a good thing for now, because it's helping us really focus on that element right now, master it, and then the blocks go away, and you might meet more, but at least you've mastered that level, and now it's time to move on.
Yeah, something we haven't just quite learned or figured out yet.
If anybody has any comments or questions that you'd like to ask, please do so below, and we'll check those in one moment. You guys have anything else you wanted to add before we head over to some questions?
I'm trying to think now. I've got all little notes everywhere of stuff she was doing. It's just another thing with the actual communication process. And this is something we do when we're just chatting to people generally anyway. Mother Earth was reminding us about listening to actually hear what's being said, rather than listening, thinking then what we're going to reply to that. And that's a very common thing, that we're not absorbing what's being said to us. We're not getting the full message because we're so keen on replying or expecting to say what we're going to say next. So it's just sit back, absorb the message that's coming in, rather than waiting to react to what's being said to us. And we do it when we're talking one-on-one with humans. We're the same. You know, we don't actually hear half of what's being said because we're too busy thinking about what we're going to come back with.
Yeah. And also filtering it, analysing it.
Oh, sorry, what was that?
Sorry, Josh.
No, I won't answer you because I'm listening to you.
No, none of us are listening. We're all talking at the same time.
No, I know. We are very focused on the doing part of life. And if we're not doing and moving forward, then it feels like we're not doing anything at all. And that's how we show progress. And that's how we show that we're participating and, you know, successful. But I think more listening, I mean, that's what the animals and that's what other species and all of life is telling us, listen more. Yeah,
it's a very similar message coming through from all the species, the elements, Mother Earth. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you open up the episode of the trees, the first message from them was listen to the trees.
Yeah.
Just sit and listen.
Yeah, and it's hard to sit there and when nothing comes through to still stay there and keep listening until something actually happens. And it may not happen in that first minute or that first hour or day. It's very difficult for a human to keep going and not feel bad about that. But
it's a sensation experience rather than a mental experience. So sensations, you have to start becoming aware. Like I said before, about you'll have different senses are stronger than others. That's where you need to feel rather than think. Sit with the sensations rather than what you think you should be getting coming through.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I butted in there as well.
Yeah, that's exactly the sensation.
Yeah, so go do away with the expectations of what you'll experience and what you might hear, feel, see, whatever, and just be there and be aware of anything, because really anything could happen. Anything can come through in any way, whatever is right for you in the moment. Yeah. Here's a question from Lucinda. Sorry, it's blocking you a bit. The same difficulty I have with animal communication, I also have in all communication with all species, including Mother Earth, knowing what is coming from me or what is from the animal. My intuition is not very fine-tuned, I feel. How can I overcome this? I have been trying to open this door for a while.
Stop trying.
Yeah. Stop expecting it to come through certain ways, and just feel what comes through.
I think the hardest thing to do there with that is like Josh, you were just saying, we've got to be performing, we've got to be getting answers, we've got to be getting things that we've been taught that relates to everything in our life. And that just letting it go. Like, Nicola was just saying beforehand, stop thinking about things and get connected with the sensory. Writing is all about don't think, feel. You have to feel. You feel what the horse is trying to tell you. You have to feel. You feel what's happening with your body. And that's the same. If you're feeling like you're not getting what you think you're supposed to be getting with something, that's a time where let it go. What Nicola was talking about at the beginning, the mortgage with the cancer cells, what we try and, kill and what we try and get rid of, it just comes back. And that's the spiritual analogy of what you resist persists, what you look at goes away. So the moment you can find acceptance in, okay, I'm just not getting anything right now, you'll find that you just open up that door and the floodgates of information come through. It's let go. If you ever feel as though you're trying to force something, you're trying to get something, trying to make something to happen, just let it go, completely let it go, surrender, acceptance, and that opens the doorway of when something will come through. Yeah. So if you're trying, I'm sorry, Lucinda, but is that your name? If you are trying and you're not getting anything, let it go. Completely, immediately, just let it go, and it will come to you another day. It will come least expected.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you do want to, Lucinda, another technique is the amount of times when I'm at workshops and someone will say, I didn't get anything, but I've seen them write things down, jotting things. And it's like, would you like to share what you've just written down then? And they'll say it, and because we do a validation technique, so people validate and they're spot on, but because it's not what they're expecting or what they think, or they think they're thinking it, like I was saying before, that's how it first starts coming through, is you feel it's a thought process. But just write it all down, and there's a key as well is to go back and read it later, Lucinda, a few days after you, because you'll see little differences, even just phrases or words that you think, I wouldn't normally use that. And that's kind of a good gauge of, well, that's not something I'd normally write. So that may be a way for you to validate that it's not coming from you, it's actually coming from who you're intending to connect with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, I know my intuition, what I always just feel in my own being, that's how things come through for me, and it's very, very difficult. It's indistinguishable. So it often feels like that's why I had blocks at first, because I thought, well, it just sounds like me. I'm just thinking these things. It's just from me. But when I realized that, then I realized, well, that I was expecting it to come in a different way and feel different from me, but it didn't. And I know it's not that way with everybody.
Do you remember what they said at the beginning, Josh, where they were saying, Mother Earth was saying, use your translator.
Oh,
use
yeah.
whatever avenue that you already feel is comfortable. And sometimes that's just our own voice. That's us. Or, you know, you use your spirit guides, or use an animal that you usually talk to, or something. So you hearing it in your own voice is your translator. That's the translator of the message coming through.
Right. And if I think about who I am and what I'm all about, that is exactly true. I would not feel comfortable in any other way other than hearing it from me. So that's a great point.
I just got that there when you were saying that as well, Josh. It's your senses that are bringing you that message.
Yeah.
So of course there are going to be times when it does feel like you, exactly as Catherine just said, because it's your physical body, your physical energy fields that's converting that message from the tree, from Mother Earth. So it is going to feel familiar to you because it's your sensory body that's actually translating it for you. So just as Catherine said.
Okay. Well, hopefully that helps Lucinda. She has another, I don't know if it's a follow-up question or just similar. Could you kindly suggest what I can do to strengthen and deepen communication interspecies?
Practice. That's what I'd recommend. Just heaps and heaps of practice, Lucinda. You know, we all start, like Catherine said, with the one word, or I'd get one picture of a strange object, wouldn't know, and then just keep building up on that. Again, the validation, just practice. And if you can get validation, that's the only thing that I could think to strengthen it.
Okay.
I think, Catherine.
Yeah, absolutely. It's exactly the same practice, you know, and let go of the judgment of it. You know, if you want to talk to a cloud, if you want to talk to a leaf, just everything's alive, even your car, you know, practice talking to everything. You'll be surprised what eventually then, and let go of having an answer. Just talk to something, move on. Talk to something, just keep practicing talking and just let go of that while waiting for an answer. Just keep moving on. I remember there was one time, do you mind me sharing a story? Remember, Nicola, I was standing there at the sheep farmer here, the local sheep farmer here, and I was standing outside one of the pig barns. And I was just standing there, and my mind was thinking, okay. And I was getting communication from the consciousness of the pigs that are in there, of, you know, that they're there, they don't want me to feel sorry for them. They know that they have a specific purpose there. But then all of a sudden, I nearly turned around. I just heard, "Can I help you?" And then I realized that was from the pig right at the front of the stall, standing there with his head right at the edge, just looking at me. And I looked at him and went, "Oh my God." And so you'll be surprised where sometimes that even though you are communicating, getting messages, something new or a new way comes through you where it is not your voice. It's something completely different. So practice, like Nicola said, and let go of how it comes to you or what comes to you.
Okay.
And put the intent out there as well each day, you know, just open it up to the energy of the universe. That is there someone that would like to connect in with me today? It's like anyone, you can't always just go up to a person and sort of butt in on the conversation. You can invite them into your conversation. So just put the intent out there. Just ask the universe, is there anyone who wants to come and meet me today? You know, make it fun, the practice side of it. And the more serious we get, the more focused on getting the outcome is when we're losing what it's all about, that they want to share. They want to show us that it's fun, it's love and things like that. So just enjoy it. Don't put pressure on yourself.
Sounds good. Here's a question from Edward. What are the major natural disasters? Are they a reflection of our inner turmoil or a planned mass learning?
Good one.
That's interesting. Go on, you go first.
No, so I've just had something come to me, but you go first, Nicola, because you
share that before we forget it.
I'm gonna put you guys on screen just on your own for a second, and I'll be right back. Okay.
Okay.
Wait.
What came to me just then was her inner growth, and that's not a reflection of ours. Remember, we are like particles of her body, so that's her natural growth, but it's one and the same. Her growth is our growth, because it's all in alignment. We wouldn't be on planet Earth if we weren't needing the same growth that she's going through. We would incarnate onto a different planet, onto a different solar system. So the major natural disasters are her like major shifts that are happening in the consciousness of planet Earth, her growth, her awakening, her evolution. And we are part of that. Go, Nicola.
Yeah. She's shown me that before. Funny enough, when we were channeling for the series, Ed, that we need to try and release the control of trying to save her. She has her own natural shifts, and she showed it. It was very cute. It's just like I'm in this chair now and I'm just not quite comfortable and do that. And that's when you get the earthquakes and things like that. They're her natural shifts where she's just got to realign herself into her own comfort zones. But then there's the ones where there are others, and that's where she's trying to show us that we are trying to control her too much, or we're even thinking we're trying to save her and causing more issues with her resettling herself naturally. So she might just kind of just show us something as if to say, can you stop doing that to that area of the world, or can you stop doing that to that element, just to highlight it, things like that. So she was also showing things like volcanoes. It's akin to us holding on to our emotions, and we just bottle it all up and then we'll just burst. So like we were explaining before, she tries to personalize what's happening with her to what happens with us, and we see the parallels and we can understand her and ourselves a lot more.
Always remember, our awakening is her awakening. She's becoming conscious of herself through us. So every time we are aware that we're controlling her, we're causing things to happen and creating things to happen, it's her awakening as well. So it's all interconnected. So there isn't it's her or it's us. It's intertwined. But it's her major shifts, but we are part of that.
Yeah.
So if there were no humans on Earth, there would still be what we call natural disasters or things.
But it wouldn't be the same as what she's going through now.
Okay.
What she is going through now is all caused by human beings.
Okay.
But it's of purpose. This is the hard contrast to explain. I know Nicola and I, it's very hard. We're saying she doesn't need saving, but that doesn't mean that we don't have changes we have to make. Right. It's about no longer, the ego self always wants to make blame. It always wants to put the blame on somebody or something. Whereas the soul self understands that everything is connected. So the more we start understanding how we are a part of her growth and her problems and her changes, but also part of the solution and part of her growth and her awakening, then we start no longer seeing us as an enemy of her. We start seeing us as a part of her, part of her growth, part of her change. I always say this with a rider when they're like, they have they're heavy-handed on the right hand or something. They always say, oh, I wish I could just chop this hand off. I'm like, you need that hand.
Yeah.
So let's start understanding why you're heavy-handed. Let's start bring that awareness to that hand. Let's bring that awareness to that part of your body so we can change it and let go of the reasons that you're balancing yourself so much from there. But you need that hand. You know, planet Earth needs humanity for her growth right now. And we need her too. Like I said before, otherwise we would be incarnating this current lifetime on a different planet, on a different solar system.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the things that we're causing on Earth right now may not be ideal, but they still are essential for growth and everything that we're all going through with for our experience. But do you feel like there's a better way and a not so good way? I mean, and we're in that position now where we're moving towards something better, but we didn't get there yet.
Look, until somebody has been heavy-handed, they don't realize and feel the importance of balance from the seat, for example. Okay. So until we've understood how we are unbalancing and creating a disconnected impact on Mother Earth, we don't realize and appreciate what she has to offer us, what she has to give us. So yes, there are changes that we will make, and there are better ways of doing things on planet Earth, and there are a lot of human beings already with movements that are doing it. But the natural disasters and stuff that are still happening still have purpose for souls that are not aware of it yet, are not ready for that awakening yet.
Okay. Thank you. Edward has another question about what led you both to connect with Mother Earth and her elements.
I think she called us, didn't she, Catherine? Loud and clear.
We wanted to, so for so long, Nicola and I kept saying, we've got to do some project together. We both knew we're going to be doing something. And we both were brainstorming for a long time of helping horse riders. You know, she'd be doing the working with the horse, I would be working with the rider and then I sat down with the guys. I've got it right here next to me. I sat down with the guys, and they basically said that Nicola and I had to talk to Mother Earth. And that's when she got channeled through the fundamental teachings of Mother Earth, and it went from there. So that's what the project, how it started. Yeah.
Yeah, almost like we just answered her call, and she was like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I've got to get messages out. So yeah.
Yeah. And that's why it astounds me, like, that you stumbled across us. I
was specifically looking, and I came across it. So again, this is what we shared earlier. If you go to YouTube and just search "Healing with Us," and you'll find their YouTube channel, and that's where they have their first season of these channels and talking with elements of Mother Earth and what it means and what it represents and any messages that come through. And it's really interesting. It's both of them interacting from their own locales and bringing through messages. It's unrehearsed. It's not planned at all, and just comes through. Yeah.
Look, Nicola and I we would say, okay, we're going to do an episode. We need to talk with the wind. Or we need to talk, I don't know, the wind's a strong on me. We need to talk with the ocean or something. And so we would both go, that week and talk with the ocean, and then we'd film it. And I'd sit there and read my answers and explain my answers. Then she'd sit there and read hers, and uncannily they'd always be aligned or the same. And then later I had the wonderful job of editing it and putting it all together. So it's, and if you watch the bloopers, you'll see that it's a lot of work. But we're learning now with season 2 because there was just so much information that I had to cut out because we got channeled so much that to narrow it down to ask each element, what's the 3 major things you want to share with humanity. So we're going to, season 2 will be a little bit more precise, hopefully, and a little bit clearer because there was so much information. We'll have to do a season 3 of, more of the information of the elements because there was so much that came through and so much that had to unfortunately be cut out. Yeah,
that's super interesting. If you would like to explore a little more about Catherine and what she offers, this is her website, CatherineLouiseBirmingham.com. And Catherine, you mostly work with horses?
I used to, Josh. My horses have been my entire life. They were but since I moved to Italy, I was told by a healer in Bali that my equestrian career would be ending and I'd be a healer and a priest. He explained it as a priest, and I didn't believe it. And funny enough, I have a family now, 3 little kids, my partner, and I don't have a horse in sight, which I miss and I love dearly. My horse is in Australia.
Okay.
But I will have horses again. But they'll be for me. But I mainly work with energy readings. I work writing and helping people basically connect with their spirit guides, connect with their soul, their life plan, understand, what challenges they're going through, and I do energy healing as well. So that's mainly what I'm doing at the moment.
Is that one-on-one or in group?
I do it distance, so I can do it one-on-one. I do basically I can do a Zoom and I record it, and then you've got it there for later. I'll just do a reading, or I can do email ones where you write your questions and I will channel the answers and then send you it all written. Some people like that because they like the privacy of it and they can watch it anytime they want, read it. But yeah, that's all distance. I don't need to be with you.
Okay, thank you so much. And Nicola, your website, sunbirdanimalcommunication.com, and you focus on animal communication then?
Yeah, that's how I started. And like I was saying before, kind of once you start doing that, then it just grows from there. So I do tend to connect in with other people's animals or share the messages from the animals. But now as the interspecies communication is growing, I just share the messages that the elements are trying to share with everybody else. I just pass them on for those specific species.
Nice. So and you offer, so it's consultations, and do you offer any teaching?
I was doing workshops, and I've recently moved from Australia, so I was doing workshops over there. At the moment with the lockdown, it's not so easy to organise the workshops, but that's okay. We'll get back to that when that comes. So at the moment, it's more distance. Yeah.
Okay.
She's doing them. She's doing them online instead. She's doing them in webinars. She's already got her organised.
I am in the process of designing a course, but I'm a bit of a tortoise when it comes to doing things like that. So I get there in my own time. But I am designing an online course, which kind of about halfway through. So that will pop up on my page when it's ready.
Okay.
It's just give more people access, because the messages from the animals to so many people is get connecting with us. They really want humans to start reconnecting as we used to years ago, and like Catherine was saying, different tribes still do, but the hustle and bustle of our world sort of drew us away from connecting how we used to, and they really want to get us back to that.
We've got the GPS.
Yes.
I'm the same way with the GPS. I've always give me a bigger view. I don't want to just know.
I want to know the route from there to the end. I want to see it in my head.
Yeah. You're going to design one of those windscreens, interactive windscreens, aren't you? They'll go.
No, I just prefer my intuition. It's less stuff.
Well, thank you guys so much for visiting today. It was really enlightening and very, very interesting. All the perspectives and insights that you brought through, and helped us to understand where we are, how we're living, and what more we can expect out of this life and this planet. And I hope we can all expand much, much more, so that I think when we do, we'll find new layers to unfold, and really a much richer life, I think, once we can get to those levels where we can interact with our world in a much different way than we are right now.
And we will. We will. It's happening now. Yeah. And there's more massive changes coming next year. And Earth's Core, Nicola, that was the main message, Earth's Core. When I look back at that episode, season 2, when it comes out, the first episode will be Earth's Core, and her first thing is get, hold tight, change is coming. And that's pushing us. It's pushing us to change our beliefs. It's pushing us to change the way we live. It's pushing us. It is happening already. So if you're feeling any doubt, that you're just not grasping or it's not getting, don't worry, because Mother Earth will give you at the point of time that's right for you, the little push to do those changes that are necessary for your own awakening.
Yeah, that sounds great. And if you're not hearing it, just keep listening.
Yeah,
it's quite that expectation or judgment or anything yet.
And again, this is part of this whole program is inspired by this project, interspeciestalk.org. This is what has launched World Interspecies Communication Month each October. And it's just a project, a worldwide project that is just meant to awaken and create more awareness in this world and allow more people to do what we're already involved in at our level, whatever level we're at, whether we're just starting out in this or have advanced to places like you guys are, where you're actually channeling parts of Mother Earth and the planet. But you know, the more we can do this, all of us, the better off we are, and that's what this project is all about. You can go there and see lots of great information and connect with other communicators. And what was part of this project is originally speakgoodhuman.tk. It's the animal communication practice site that I run. It's still going strong. We started out with one animal and now there's 250 animals. So if anybody's out there who's looking to do some more practicing and getting more into the animal side of things, that's where you start. And, you know, just learning animal communication opens you up to connect with anything. It's all the same thing, as Catherine and Nicola have said. It's the same skill, the same process. It's something that we can all do, and just start today. That's your practice today, is just start listening.
Thank you, Josh, for everything you've organized and put together and what you've brought to people across the world. I mean, it's amazing. You've already done the awakening. You've already done that just by bringing us all together to bring these messages. That we can't thank you enough. Thank you very, very much for all the work you have done and you continue to do. Thank you.
And for opening up this to so many more people, that, you know, there'd be people that are coming into it, or there'd be people who've done it for years now, be taking bits away from all the other communicators through this series. It's been a great challenge. I've loved watching them. Yeah,
it's been really mind expanding, just because it just shows you how all these different aspects and elements, they on the surface, they're all so different, but they really are the same root. They just all are so connected. And just to be able to see that, sometimes you can't see that when you're in the moment and you're, you know, just focused on one thing. I just want to talk to an animal and that's all. But it's really much more than that. And that's the whole impetus for this whole series, is expansion. So thank you for being a part of that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, well, hopefully we'll be able to do this again someday, and we look forward to your second season. And anybody out there who hasn't seen the first yet, head over to YouTube, and it'll be some great listening and learning. Okay, guys, thank you so much, and have a great day.
You too, Josh. Thank you.
Thanks, Josh.
Bye.